Good evening, you are with the news here. I'm Seher Zaman. We're making a start with a landmark judgment here that has come in from the Delhi court in deciding to acquit journalist Priya Ramani in the MJ Akbar criminal defamation case there, the complaint that was made against her. The court here has stated, in fact, giving out reasons here for this in accepting Priya Ramani's contention, and also further observed that Ramani has a right to raise her voice on any platform, adding to that a woman does have a right to put forward her grievance even if it is decades after the ugly incident.
Despite the fact that it was me, the victim, who had to stand up in court as the accused, I thank everyone who stood by me, especially my two witnesses, Ghazala Wahab and Nilufa Venkatraman, who came to court and testified on my behalf. I thank the court for this verdict. I thank my lawyers, Rebecca, John, and our amazing team who believed in me and in the wider cause. They put their heart and soul in this case. Thank you so much.
How difficult it was inside court to get your word across. It was an extremely difficult trial to do. It was also challenging on many, with respect to many of the defenses we pleaded, because these are defenses that people normally don't take. But in that sense, I think when you fight powerful people and you have only truth on your side, the journey becomes very, very relevant to you personally. So I think this is probably the most important case of my career.
Let's get in more details. We have with us our Deputy News Editor, Meenakshi Bhanja, who's getting us those inputs right outside from the court there. Meenakshi, this is, of course, being seen as a landmark moment here with respect to sending out the larger message, specifically on the allegation that women that have continued to face here, that you can't be going back with a complaint decades after the complaint, after the ugly incident. So this is something that the court today has felt very important to state out while giving out this verdict.
Well, absolutely. You have summarized it perfectly, Seher, and that is the reason this judgment will go on to assume such important significance, because at the outset, like you rightly mentioned, this is a watershed moment as far as India is concerned. This is a landmark judgment. Why? Because what happens at the time of the incident is women are often, they find themselves, one, in a vulnerable position. Secondly, they have so much going on emotionally, mentally, psychologically, that they are overwhelmed by the sequence of events, and therefore that argument or rationale that why is a woman coming forward with her complaint only now will no longer hold good. That is what this judgment is looking to address, and perhaps that is an argument this judgment has effectively plugged as well. And like you rightly mentioned, the court completely of the opinion that right to reputation of a person can have reputation, but that right to reputation is inferior as far as the right of dignity of another individual is concerned. And secondly, the other important noting the court gave out today was pertaining to the fact as to how a woman does have a right to come out with her grievances even years after a particular incident of sexual harassment has happened against her. That apart, the court is also of the opinion that women have to be given equality. They are only seeking for equality in society, and sexual abuse or harassment is something that does strike at the fundamental dignity of an individual, in this particular case, a woman. And therefore, remember what was argued in court when the matter was being litigated by Priya Ramani, that the reason Mr. Akbar is having a go at Priya Ramani was to obtain a chilling effect. He did not want for others to also really come out and vociferously state their cases against him, which is why we saw Priya Ramani today also thank Ghazala Wahab, because she was one of the witnesses when the trial process was underway, along with Shutapa Paul and others who had very, very bravely and boldly attested to all that Priya Ramani was saying. So it is a big shot in the arm as far as women's rights and also rights of sexual harassment victims in this country is concerned. So
Well, absolutely. Meenakshi, please stay on with us here because we're going to be taking in further inputs from you on this in just a bit. But we're also getting in reactions. This one having come in from Union Minister, Women and Child Development Minister here. With respect to this verdict, Smriti Irani speaking. Let's take a listen in.
Since this is a news that you're breaking, till such time I don't get details, I think it would be a bit irresponsible for me to give an exact statement. But I have said before on political and social platforms, not only as a politician but also a woman, that due protection of law is given to every woman. And I'm aware that judicial bodies, on the basis of evidence produced before them, can pronounce adequate judgments to protect the interests of women across the country.
Right, Meenakshi, take us through observations here in other points that have been made today by the court while giving out its judgment. This was, of course, understandably long drawn out, but very closely tracked with each argument there that took place in court, and further points that were raised in this verdict.
Well, yes, you see, this was a slightly longish pronouncement. Of course, the judge was referring to all the backgrounder that this case has seen, including the arguments which were put forth by both parties in this case, MJ Akbar camp and also Priya Ramani camp. The judge did note the arguments of Priya Ramani as to why she felt the need to pursue this case in its entirety in this way and really stand up and rebut all the allegations that were being made by MJ Akbar and his set of counsels. MJ Akbar was of the opinion that he had a stellar reputation, and these were all allegations which were malafide, and that tore his reputation to smithereens. Remember, he is very well entrenched into the system. He has always held a good position as a former editor who was well entrenched in...
Right, Meenakshi, please stay on with us. Priya Ramani speaking again. Let's take a listen into the latest there.
As you know, the defense had put up a very, very strong rebuttal to the case of the complainant. That defense has been upheld by the court. So I think it's altogether a very, very important moment for all of us. It's a great moment. But as far as the individual paragraphs of the judgment, we really need to go through it and then we can comment.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. That was, of course, Rebecca John speaking, who was Priya Ramani's legal counsel here on this, and has said, of course, this comes in on a huge landmark occasion, and we can see Priya Ramani elated, so to say, with respect to this judgment here that has come in by court, details of which will further be read through, as Rebecca John has stated here on this, and will later comment on it further.